The National Assembly's Committee of Defense and that of the National Security have this morning held a joint press conference of the escalating violence in South Sudan. The chairman of the committees, Asman, Kamama and Ndungu Githenji, say Kenya will not sit and watch as leaders in South Sudan make reckless statements that call for war between warring factions.
We must also look at sanctions targeted at those people who are involved in the fighting, who are involved in the financing, who are involved in this ethnic killings in their country. And many of those people are living in Kenya. Many of those people are living in Addis. Many of those people are living in Khartoum. And this must end immediately. We have consulted with my colleague, Honorable Kamama, and we are looking at bringing a motion jointly to the National Assembly to ensure that sanctions are targeted against those who are perpetrating warlike activities, genocide and killing, and they may no longer enjoy having their assets in our country and their children studying in our schools.
We want fairness to all the people of Southern Sudan. So the President Salva Kiir should ensure that all the people, whether they're in Jonglei, whether they're in the Unity State, whether they're in all the southern side, all of them should be treated fairly, so that they're also not encouraged to really feel that they are being discriminated against. So we need that fairness. Lastly, we want the people of Southern Sudan to ensure that the way forward is not the way of becoming a refugee or a soldier. Because from 1983, in Southern Sudan, people are either in the bush as soldiers, even child soldiers, or they're refugees in Kenya or in Uganda, or also in Ethiopia. So that life, they must change from that life and ensure that they go back and build their country.
All right, let's now speak to our senior parliamentary reporter, Patrick Amimo, who covered that particular press briefing on more details. A very good afternoon to you, Patrick. Many thanks for joining us here on NewsDesk. Now, the war or whatever has been happening in South Sudan has been ongoing for a very long time now. Why are these leaders making such statements now?
Thank you, Akisa. Indeed, remember, South Sudan is a very new country, both globally and in the continent. But after this, it did declare its independence. It's gone back to war. Remember, in August last year, we had an agreement where then first Vice President Riek Machar was to return to Juba and craft up a government of national unity together with President Salva Kiir. But it appears that implementing that August 2015 agreement has been a challenge to both leaders in the South Sudan. That's why we saw almost 3 months ago, the country again broke into war, where at least Riek Machar forces did engage with the SPLM soldiers, the government soldiers in Juba. And we saw then Riek Machar ran to safety and as he consolidated his forces. So members of parliament, the National Assembly's National Security, together with its Defense Committee, they've issued a warning. They want the South Sudanese leaders to walk the talk and ensure the peace deal is cemented and citizens of South Sudan live in peace, because they say we cannot continue losing lives in that new state after they agreed to the comprehensive peace agreement and agreed to have a new state in place. And now they're warning that should the leaders in South Sudan stop, not continue in the warfare or making warlike statements, engaging each other in war, then they are saying that they've threatened to come up with a motion which will ask the government to freeze assets of those leaders in South Sudan who will be seen to be promoting warlike activities in South Sudan. Remember, most of these Southern Sudan leaders, most of them are living in Kenya and especially in Nairobi, and most of these people live in the leafy suburbs of the country, of the city, where they are enjoying luxury, living in peace, whereas their citizens are suffering war and hunger in their country. So they are threatening threatening. They want leaders to walk the talk, and if not, then sanctions, punitive sanctions will be put in place. Remember, we also have the UN Security Council did recommend an additional 4,000 troops to be peacekeepers to be sent to Juba and ensure there's peace in that country. But recently, the other day, we saw at least there was some communication from the outgoing UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon that trying to accuse the South Sudan government of trying to undermine the UN security resolution. It's like the government does not want the UN peacekeepers to go in Juba, or they want to monitor. They want the South Sudanese troops to go with the UN peacekeepers wherever they are making checks in the country. But then the UN peacekeepers are in South Sudan specifically to ensure there is peace and civilians are protected against those abuse and war. That's why there is that concern on that particular area. There's also concern they want to put at least an arms embargo on South Sudan, because they think the proliferation of arms in South Sudan is escalating the war. But then again, on this score of arms, an arms embargo, the UN Security Council is yet to agree on that embargo issue. But then we see there are reports, media reports, that Russia is opposed to putting an arms embargo on South Sudan. Akisa?
Patrick, thank you very much.